just wanted, yeah, I just wanted to put
Password.
okay, not the password, but I wanted to put a mouse because I'm
Let's
not
check if it's working.
No, it works. It works. I put
No,
a,
like here.
I don't know the password. Someone will have to open it for me.
Colleagues, could I kindly request that our colleagues standing right at the door behind there, if you can please just make your way to your sitting areas.
Okay, are we sorted?
Yeah.
I just want to plug in. No, I'll just.
You can plug it in here.
It's a dongle for the.
No, it's okay. You
The
can
mouse?
leave it.
There's another.
Turn it. Even when turning it. Let me see.
It's moving.
This is moving here.
Colleagues, can we just, may I please ask for us to settle down? We are about to start with the next session in our program. May I take this opportunity to thank you very much, colleagues. I just wanted to take this opportunity to welcome to the podium Dr. Palesa Mothapo from NMU to just come in, who will actually be doing the facilitation for this next session for us. Please give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am vertically challenged, but I'm mighty in heart. Thank you. Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Mandela. We're very excited to host you. My name is Palesa Mothapo, and I am the Director for Research Support and Management at Nelson Mandela University. And I'm very happy to kickstart the research session and also have good representation from Nelson Mandela University as the first presenters. At Nelson Mandela University, we pride ourselves with the research that is in service to society, and we're demonstrating it through these collaborations, and we're very happy to have been able to support our research chair in human settlement, Professor S.J. Mbanga, who could not be here today, but I'm sure like he's very, very proud of what has come out of this initial planning. And we've been very happy as research support to support the activities and the planning of this event. We have very limited time. I have to catch up with lunchtime, and so I'm going to ask our speakers to be mindful of the time. We have about 10 minutes per presentation, plus 1 or 2 questions from the audience, and we will have a little wrap-up of a discussion just before we break for lunch, which will be at 1:15. So without taking up more time, I would like to invite our first speaker, which is Dr. Emmanuel Kabundu from Nelson Mandela University. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll be presenting the research entitled The Impact of Post-Matric Curriculum on the Transformation of the South African Property Sector. And basically this will be consisting of the introduction, aims, methods, results, summary, and then the recommendations. As already stated, the property sector is very important to the performance of the South African economy. Like, for example, in 2024, the property market in South Africa was projected to reach 1.2 billion US dollars, of which roughly 0.86 trillion US dollars, of which roughly 0.86, that is about 69%, was accounted for by the residential property market. So that's how important even the residential property market within the property sector is to the South African economy performance. Then between 2025 and 2028, the market is expected to grow by roughly 3.66% to $1.42 trillion. That's a lot. And definitely, if that potential is harnessed, we looked at some of the problems that affect South Africa, things like unemployment and so on. Such problems obviously will be partly solved. So what are the aims of this research? The aims of this research were to investigate, number one, to investigate if the available post-matric real estate education accommodates the required elements of transformation within the property sector in South Africa. But this research also tried to separate the property sector from the real estate services sector. The real estate services sector is a subset of the property sector, so we found it necessary to do an analysis for both of them. And also the research aimed to investigate if the current real estate education equips the historically disadvantaged persons with the skills and knowledge to participate in the property market meaningfully and successfully. So it's one thing to go and acquire a qualification, but it's another thing to perform meaningfully in the property market, given even the status of the economy. But one of the things that we first looked at is the real estate model for the country that can equip these learners so that they can get the skills necessary to perform in the real estate industry and also in the property market. And this table that is being shown there, I think it's after the aims, please. If you go to the fifth slide, If you go to the fifth slide, it shows the education model, and that education model is actually good. It allows learners from different backgrounds using different avenues to get access to the skills that can help them, the education and skills that can help them to perform in the property sector. So there is the occupational qualification, then there is the TVET route through TVET colleges, and then obviously there is the general primary and high schools which go to up a certain level. Then there's the role played by universities. And on the other hand, you have the qualification type that they eventually get. So this is the vehicle through which they get those qualifications and skills. That means those in the property sector. But for the real estate industry, we were recommending that the same model can apply with the exception of the TVET college route. That one needs to be, does not apply for the real estate services industry. So what methods did we use? Because if you look at the nature of the aims, we find it better to use, first of all, secondary data. That data is already provided by Statistics South Africa. That is the quarterly labor survey. It has most of the information that we need, with the exception that obviously the performance per province is not representative. So some provinces like Western Cape, Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, they're overrepresented. So that's why we never looked at the geographical variation. So if you look at that, the data set was 66,846 and respondents, and the model that was used basically was mainly generalized regression modeling. Obviously, some of you may not be aware of that, but it's sort of like it's a method which consists of joint modeling. So looking at those aims, we decided to consider the response variable. That means the output. We created two models. One of them had two equations. The output was if a learner took at least one field of study which is relevant to the property sector. Then the second, for the second equation, the output was if currently the person who was a learner is actually practicing in the property sector. So we formed a similar model with reference to the real estate industry. So if a learner took at least one field of study which is relevant to the property sector and whether they are actually currently practicing in the real estate industry. So the property sector may contain fields like architecture, engineering, even law, even accounting to an extent, quantity surveying, but the real estate services sector may be limited. For example, a typical example of those who practice in such the principal property practitioners like real estate agents, just to put it in simple terms. So this table contains the fields, but it's so small because of the display. And basically, what we computed after that, we computed the conditional odds. We also computed the probabilities from there, because those models obviously gave coefficients from which we could extract those variables, given the fact that the logistic regression is what was used. Binary logistic, which is called a logit model, is what basically was used to do the modeling. So those are basically the equations for those who are interested in the mathematics of it. That is on slide 11. So slides 11 and 12, those ones, I just explained them, and those are the equations. So I'm just going to go to the, to mainly the results. But before we go to that, for this kind of modeling, just to create some kind of confidence with the audience, you need to make sure that you also choose the error models. So the error models in those who are doing statistics, usually they use, they measure statistics like AIC, Archaic Information Criteria. So that one enabled us to measure the error models. Also, the variance inflation factors were computed to make sure that there's no multicollinearity within the predictor variables. And on the other hand, also if certain statistic called Kendall's tau was computed to measure the degree of association for each of those models between the two equations, to see whether a univariate or bivariate model is going to be used. So these are the results. So from the results, first of all, from the AIC, two models were selected. There's the Hogarth and the Gumbel, but because they had the lowest value of AIC, so from there, obviously we just selected one of them by default because they had the lowest value. That's what we did. Then the VI factors, all of them were below 5, which indicated that there was no multicollinearity between those variables. So looking at that, and also the tau values actually were low because we are using the 5% level of significance. So they were very low, and they indicated that a univariate model actually was sufficient for this case. This data corresponded to the fourth quarter of 2023. But it's possible, obviously, to compute, to make those computations for other quarters so that you see the variations over time, which can help you to make appropriate decisions, just as we are going to see. So for each of those models, the treatment equations was basically the same. And this table shows the treatment model. This data was compressed, but it is rich, very rich in meaning for those who are decision makers. The only thing is that we just extracted the things that could help us to answer to the aims or objectives of this research. So if you look at the third column for the treatment equation, it shows the level of significance. Obviously, wherever there is a star, at least one star, it shows that that coefficient was significant, and hence it could be relied on to make important decisions. So the last column obviously shows the kind of decision that could be made, but we cannot go through all those kinds of decisions. We shall just do a summary. And the interesting thing about this modeling form of